You will fall in love with me. You will take me away from this place.
Full disclosure, there's commentary number 137, 137, 137, 137, 137. It's really, really, really early in the morning. Not that you need to hear why, but you're going to hear why. Car trouble. So I got to take it in for a diagnostic check. Not thrilled. Every time brother gets a little ahead, always something. So that sucks. So that's on my mind. Still got to take one of the kids to school. So I'm going to have to figure that out. And then, start work at 12 and work until 10:30 tonight. How am I getting to that? Mysteries, especially because you can't really get rental cars day of anymore because COVID. I don't know. In any case, these are the things that I'll have to figure out. What is going down? My goodness. There's a lot to talk about. What is happening in the commentary portion? The commentary portion, we're going to talk about Anarchy Wrestling because nobody was there to review the show, except for people who sent me information about the show. And I thought it was noteworthy enough that I needed to go ahead and take a good hard look based on the things that people sent me. I think you'll be very interested because if you're watching this, chances are you're into the Georgia wrestling scene, and it's very defining and very definitive. So let's get into this bad boy. We go over shows that have happened since last. I probably talked about Southern Fried, but just to make sure I cover my bases, one, that picture of Todd Sexton's group in all white looked stellar. They got their crowd to 250. So they are bucking the trend a little bit because their last show they had 150. So that's good. That's nice that it's moving in the correct direction for them. Yeah. And commentators, JJ and Bill Behrens. That's good stuff as always. Championship Wrestling from Atlanta report. Their third taping appeared to go very well. 150 people paying $25 a ticket. So even though people were trying to deride them for that crowd, okay. $25 a ticket. I would guess that house is probably better than most people's. Just saying. And the talent level continues to go up. Some guy wrote an article about 11-11-11, and it's gorgeous, and I put out another article. So I'm beginning to write stuff on the regular. Why? I think it's cool, and I think it really enhances Georgia wrestling history between that and show reports. That website has been restructured along with the tipping points that we continue to do. Platinum Championship Wrestling report from Covington. Again, their crowds continue to go up. The talent, the things happening on the show. I think Rob described it well, which is kind of the mad science vibe that goes on at Platinum Championship Wrestling is been there, but is definitely there in force. And we have a new PCW champion, which is a big deal. And Nauseacism continues to kill it. Wrestling Trevor Aeon and amazing stuff. Nick Halen continues to do the PCW shows. That's very exciting as well. What can you say? Super cool stuff. Super cool stuff. What else is going down? What else is going down? Pro South, I reviewed the main event, the Damian Serraton and Joe Black last man standing match, and it was fantastic. The picture on the report, you're going to, by the way, any of these reports and articles, gwhnewsandnotes.blogspot.com, just get there. Championship Wrestling from JoJo results from Swainsboro. Ooh, sorry. My God. 160 fans raising money for Ox Madison. Career-ending injury. That sucks. But $1,500 raised does not. It's definitely cool. Can't front on that. APW, 56 people watching as they continue to march on, and it looks like they're selling their old ring because they got a new ring. Jeremy Vane making it happen, as always. So super cool all around. Let's talk about where I'm going to be this weekend. Assuming I get all the car stuff resolved and fixed up, I'm going to be at IWE. And they're in a unique position as well. Unique is maybe not the correct word, because Southern Fried also had their crowd go up. In fact, outdrew Southern Fried, or Southern Honor. Southern Fried outdrew Southern Honor. Will IWE be able to do the same? Last time they had 200 people at their show, which was the first time that they had dipped since I've started going to the shows and working in the back on their shows. This card, I mean, Hunter Young versus Landon Hale is that like match with the young guys that you want to have on your card, right? The Duck House Brawl between the Ugly Ducklings and Exotic Youth. Again, every one of these matches seems like it has somebody that's going to be up for an award, or should be, right? Exotic Youth, who are the tag champs of IWE because they beat the Ugly Ducklings. So this is the return match, and they're engaging in a Duck House Brawl, which will be wild. But Exotic Youth, going to be one of those groups that's up for tag team or stable of the year, right? And it looks like it's going to be all hands on deck, where it's going to be Pepper Bottom as well as Bryce Cannon and Zach Mosley against 3 of the Ugly Ducklings. So that's going to be wild. Undeniable, who are the reigning tag team and stable Georgia Wrestling History Award champs, are going to be going against Ashton Starr and Matt Odom. So it's going to be great to see the guys, see Brian Blaze, see Shane Marks, see Matt Hankins, of course. Mayhem title match, AC Mack, who's won awards before, Carly Bravo, who's probably going to be up for Most Improved, and Owen Knight. The 3 of them going at each other, doing big shit. I mean, all of these matches are unbelievable. The IWE Championship match between O'Shea Edwards and Joe Black. Joe Black continuing to kill it. Continuing to defend his thing as a Wrestler of the Year. And I said it during his Last Man Standing match. I'm like, is he not the Wrestler of the Year? It just seems really difficult to argue against that, but I'm sure people are going to try. And Joe Black and O'Shea Edwards, I mean, that's a match that you don't get to see anywhere else. I mean, AWE is that spot and was that spot where you get to see matches that you didn't get to see anywhere. And that's now IWE is that spot too, because you're getting David Ali in a New Age title match against Slim J. Another match between guys that have won awards and guys that are going to win awards, right? Just fantastic. But wait, there's more. Women's title match Danny Jordan, who's now held that title for hundreds of days and continues to post about it constantly, against Amber Nova, who's one of these people that's like breakout in Florida. Danny Jordan and Amber Nova, that hasn't happened anywhere else. And again, this IWE show is going to be ridiculous. I'm going to be there. Can't wait to be there. Very, very intense atmosphere it's going to be. And they're looking to bring people into this show, meaning fans. Are they going to do better than 200? I suspect highly that they are. Are they going to outdraw Southern Honor and Southern Fried? That remains to be seen, but if and when they do, what does that mean? I'll just leave that hanging in the air in a mysterious type of fashion. There's a number of video clips to hit you with, so I'm just going to hit them. This was from a deathmatch show where a fan put his hands on the deathmatch wrestler and paid the price. Bro, what are you thinking about? What are you thinking about? Plus, in the deathmatch world, this was a huge deal. John Wayne Murdoch, who's the American Deathmatch champion, who's an ICW guy, finally attacked his longtime rival on the mic, where he was just said, I got to have a match with this guy. I'm going to have a match. And he shows up in GCW, which is the other biggest deathmatch group, and attacked him, which is just really exciting stuff. I talk about that a lot in the article that I just wrote on gwhnewsandnotes.blogspot.com. Here's Skrilla frickin' dropping bars and talking it up about the things he's got going on.
God on how to embrace a vision. This a head-on collision. Yeah, it's time to buckle up. I do it for the people, so my arms raised with my knuckles up. God works in mysteriously in funny ways. I'm eliminating monsters in my head like I did Sunny Days. Speaking of Sunny Days, she was my childhood crush. Look at IWE bringing up some childhood lust. Parade of Champions, November 20th, is greatness versus Magnum. That hard worker better protect himself like wearing a Magnum. The most improved wrestler is back to make these busters hate again. So join the campaign and watch Skrilla make wrestling great again.
How cool is that? It's really cool. Really, really, really cool. And I'm going to see Skrilla too, because they announced on IWE that Skrilla's having a match as well against Josh Magnum. So that's going down. Again, IWE is that spot, man. Here's a picture. Well, who's that? That's Jordan Grace winning a frickin' powerlifting championship. And if you saw the video of her frickin' deadlifting those, oh my God. I mean, to me, that's just incredibly impressive. Jordan Grace, someone who continues to do her thing. She is the Impact, like social media champion, whatever the name of that terrible title is. But she had a really good match with Skylar. And Jordan Grace is just doing her thing, you know. I just thought that was really exciting. Here's another picture I thought was really cool. So what is this? For those that are kind of uninitiated, especially about AEW, AEW, they always put something funny on Hangman Adam Page's graphic when he's coming to the ring. And for this one, when he was coming to the ring to face Kenny Omega, they just put, "We're proud of you" from the graphics team. There's just something very cool and very organic feeling about AEW that it's hard to put into words and articulate. But between that and the stuff going on in Deathmatch and the indies continue to do their thing, a big part of my argument is that I think people have to perceive that the heart of pro wrestling has moved and it no longer resides in the chest of the WWE. And I think once that is done, once we do that as wrestling fans and wrestling people, I think you can kind of see the business in a different perspective and one that's more kind of beneficial and healthy as far as being a wrestling fan. Doesn't mean you can't enjoy WWE. Goodness knows I still cover the shows. I'll still watch whatever they're calling pay-per-views now. But at the end of the day, I think you just have to acknowledge the fact that, like, pro wrestling is going to continue to really do its thing as it should. And WWE is there. And it's still the goal for many or most wrestling people, of course. And that's fine. But if you continue to search for your sort of like the wrestling that you grew up with that you really, really enjoy, you're probably better off seeking your pleasure elsewhere and then just keeping WWE in a certain perspective. By the way, I recently encountered this video of somebody doing a ripcord tombstone pile driver. Let me say that again, a ripcord tombstone pile driver, which probably sounds like the most modern wrestling move you've ever heard of, right? Well, take a look at this clip. What the hell is that? That's a French wrestler and I believe a Spanish wrestler from 1957. I'm definitely going to have to review one of those guys. The guy doing the ripcord tombstone pile driver. I'm definitely going to cover one of his matches, and I'm very excited about it because that's wild. That's wild. But you know, the guys nowadays, they do these like crazy dangerous spots, you know, which, you know, 1957, I learned it from watching you. 1957. All right, commentary. What can you say? Here's what I heard about the Anarchy show. And I'm going to quote a lot of this verbatim, but not all of it, because there's a lot here, but it's really great. Here's the thesis statement. Anarchy put on a clinic tonight on how to hit the reset button. Other promotions need to take notice. I counted 150 butts and seats before the first bell. No Larry, Rob, Nick, or Myron, so I don't know what number they will report. Larry, by the way, was at the WrestleMerica show. He said they had 175. He said anywhere between 150 and 180 is accurate. Great job, Anarchy, for that. Saw a lot of first-time fans, including a group of 8 guys who looked like they had the time of their lives. Saw a lot of families and children, which isn't really something I saw at Southern Honor last week. Who comes to your shows matters. You know, as we famously, the demo, right? It matters who comes to your show, you know? Apparently, some big changes have been made to Anarchy. I'm not sure what all behind the scenes has changed, but there were noticeable changes all around. The sound system sounded much better. They made better use of their lights and projection screen. Show didn't open with the national anthem, which is the first time I remember this happening at Anarchy. JJ also said Anarchy had picked up some kind of sponsorship from Coca-Cola and would only be selling Coke products from now on. The show opened with a big bang, not something Anarchy usually does. That's true. Joe Black versus Will Caution for the belt. And again, I'm telling you, the AEWing of wrestling continues. Now people are taking their cues off of AEW, which is their theory is open with a big match. And not just an exciting match between two like people lower on the card, but like one of your top 3 matches you're going to do, you open with that. And people are beginning to follow suit. Whether they know it's because of AEW or not is incidental. Incidental, Clarice. It's great. It's a great trend, and I approve. Joe Black versus Will Caution for the belt. Got about 6 minutes of an evenly booked match where both guys really put each other over. We ultimately had a run-in by the Program, who are clearly the top push at Anarchy now. This set up a tag match between Will and Joe versus Proc and Scott Mason. It delivered. High energy, crowd was eating it up. Interference and rope-assisted pin led to Mason pinning. Well, Mason claimed that he pinned the champion, who's Will Caution. But it says here he pinned Joe. I'm not sure which one. Either way, the heels went over. Fantastic way to open. Crowd was definitely into this. Next was the only subpar match of the night. J2 Strong against Ashworth. Both guys got a huge pop on their entrance. They still love Jacob. And they still hate J2 Strong. But I feel like some fans are getting tired of him. He can be very repetitive. Match never really clicked. Lost the crowd. Ref Jennifer called for the go-home that you would have been blind to miss. Too Strong rolls Ashworth up and uses the tights to get the pin. Roll-up city. Interesting. Getting heat. Yeah. After the match, Hanson comes out and attacks Ashworth with the help of Jay. Hanson finally gets some heat as a heel. He seems to be getting more comfortable in the role. ERC versus Duncan Mitchell is next. Haven't seen ERC in person before, and was very impressed. I mean, the fact that ERC went from being like the joke of PCW and a guy I got very upset with, and ever since that feud with Naja, now he's going out and wrestling different shows and doing well. Wow. Described as very athletic with good charisma. Duncan is over big time, got one of the biggest pops of the night. Match was solid. Had a run-in by Steve-O the Wall. Not familiar with his work, but he reminded me of a slightly taller Ace Haven. He attacked Duncan and shamed the crowd for treating him like a hero. Hunter James with Mason and Nadja with Cedric was next, and this was my favorite match of the night. Hunter gets great heat as a heel, and Nadja is an instant crowd favorite. This is the absolute best I've ever seen Nadja. And think about that. I mean, Nadja's just been killing it, and he just continues to get better. He's flying all over the place tonight. His timing and execution was dead on. Hunter James is the future of Georgia wrestling. I cannot believe he's been doing this for a year. His bumping and selling is as good as anyone in Georgia, except maybe Shane Marks, they said. Oof. And he is quick. Scott Mason does not get enough credit for what he's doing. Character is something special. I mean, maybe Mason is one of those guys that's up for a male performer this year. Right? Character is something special. Mason provides the distractions. Strike up another win for the program. At exactly 1 hour, we got an intermission. That was something else that I noted on the Southern Honor Show, that there was no intermission. Boy, I mean, these shows that are really beating people up and making them sit, man, you got to give people a break, man. Something else completely new to Anarchy was during the intermission, the faces came out to talk with the crowd and sign autographs. Will Caution, Naja, Dynamic Dexter spent the most time out there. Even Jeter spent a little time. Wow. Joe Black came out, made a lap around the ring, fist bumping fans, and returned to the back. How cool is that? I mean, their last show, Anarchy's show before this one, just didn't work. And they needed to hit a reset, and they needed to make strong moves, and they made them. It's a vision. After intermission, we meet the new commissioner of Anarchy. I assume Bull left when Ben left. That makes sense. Mike O'Rourke, I believe. Not familiar with him, but some of the fans were, and I believe he does a lot of stuff with NCW Friday Night Wars. which I'm sure Rick Michaels has a heavy hand in, right? He made a very passionate speech. Again, love it, love it. Saying Anarchy needed changes. The last show was with only 60 people and everything being so flat could have been an eye-opener, but I honestly believe the layoff was not due to COVID, but to make some changes. Yeah, I mean, whichever it was, the fact is, Anarchy took a break, but they need to be reliable. I mean, I preach this all the time. You can't fuck the fans. You can't not do shows and not be on a regular schedule and establish a fan base that trusts you. I mean, we're seeing with PCW running on the regular now, their fan base continues to go up and up and up. And I see the level of excitement because I get to see the messages sent to the PCW Facebook page, right? They believe. And you have to consistently do shows. I'm just a big fan of that, right? He said, meaning the commissioner, he was tired of hearing the boys in the locker room at Anarchy talking about the other honorable fried promotions. He said it was time that Anarchy got back to its roots and actually had Anarchy. He basically shit on the Machines tag team storyline that was just fucking awful. I mean, anytime I read about the Machines tag team storyline, it was fucking terrible, right? He stripped them of the belts and said he was bringing tag team wrestling back to Anarchy and they would have the best division in the state. Yeah, they ran their course with like Matt Hankins and Bill Behrens being the tag champions and then this Machines thing. And it was all really silly and really stupid. And it's great. They're going after the best tag team division in the state. He ended the next show that Caution will face Hunter James in an Ultimate Anarchy match. That's the Ultimate X match. What the hell? Crowd ate it up. Security guys looked pumped after the speech. All good stuff. Dude. Next, it was Northside Heroes Anarchy debut versus a tag team I never knew I wanted, but I'm so glad I experienced. Dynamic Dexter and Eddie Honcho. This brought some needed comic relief to the show. Yeah, because you've got the program stomping all over everybody, and now you had this very serious speech about, like, you know, we're going to be great. So yeah, a little comic relief. Good booking, right? Northside was fine, but nothing memorable sticks out about them. But Dexter and Honcho worked great together. They both got fantastic pops. There's not a dull moment in this match. Dexter has improved, but Honcho is making huge strides. His comedic stuff is gold. His ring work is starting to catch up. Match never finishes, with Towers coming to the ring angry. Oh boy. Takes out Dexter before Jeter's music hits. I usually don't like transitions like this, but it worked. Some serious consideration, and I've heard this from a number of sources, right? Some serious consideration needs to be given to Towers versus Jeter for feud of the year. 5 promotions, 10 matches, and they're going to continue to wrestle each other in other places and perhaps Anarchy again as well. Who wants to argue that they're not feud of the year? I'll be open to hearing arguments, but boy, these guys beat the living fuck out of each other. Jeter got the biggest pop of the night. Match was booked fantastic. Started with both men on opposite sides outside of the ring, reaching into the seats to grab chairs. A couple of shots were exchanged, and the brawling began around the ring. Jeter was not playing games tonight and laid in on Towers big time. Match spilled over into the crowd, and what resulted was one of the loudest crowds I've ever heard at the Landmark. People began to scramble as the two giants just wrecked the chairs around ringside. We had a plant in the audience, and he got into Towers' face and was laid out. This made another plant get up and get in Towers' face with the whole, what the hell are you doing? He's just a fan, resulting in him being laid out. It was done very well. It was believable, and the crowd went apeshit. Come on. Of course I'm going to love shit like that. It's wild, man. It's wild, and it's so cool. It's just so cool. It's so interesting. You want to hear more? I do. The two exchanged some of the hardest chair shots I've ever seen, even some to the head. Oof. And one so hard that the metal folding chair actually broke. The action returned to the ring before Brother Azrael comes in to attack Jeter, and as he leaves, he is greeted by Steve-O the Wall, and they stand together at the entrance to watch the conclusion. Towers then hits another brutal chair shot to the head. Jeter got his hands up, but it still looked stiff as fuck, and Jeter is laid out. Towers rolls Jeter to the body bag. This was a body bag match. He can't get Jeter in the bag. Not sure if this was supposed to happen or if Jeter is too big. And after Towers complaining he was too big, wraps the bag around Jeter the best he could, and we get the bell. Towers celebrates and is booed big time on his way to the back. Fans were angry at him. The fans were so loud during this. Dude, I love these fan reports. I just love them. Because this is a guy who goes to like a bunch of the shows. Because he always tells me what's up. And some might say, like, that's kind of sad you got to rely on. I'm like, what's sad about it? I think it's great. A guy who's unbiased, who loves these promotions, who just tells me what's going on. Because I got to be able to trust the reports that I get. I have to be able to trust them. And I'm hoping Rob Rod takes this as like, dude, and, you know, of course, Southern Honor, I know, you know, I harped on this a lot, and I had to go back and forth about it with people, but, like, dude, I get so tired of people, like, quit pushing your bullshit party line. Like, I get that you do that for promotion and stuff like that, but just saying, like, this is the greatest show we've ever done, like, get the fuck out of here, man. Like, match of the year, like, just... When it's not real, it works against you. When and Rob's report trying to like be part of your party line bullshit, it takes away the credibility completely. And I'm glad I got people who will tell me what the fuck is happening in the locker room, and you know, that stuff's important. God, we want to know the real deal. We want to know the real deal. And I want to trust guys like Rob Rod and Nick and Myron. But right now, it's like I trust Larry. I trust his reports. I trust Scott Hensley's reports. I want to trust everybody's reports because it's great to have these things. But they're not great if all they do is just serve some sort of propaganda line. It just doesn't work for me. Because when I do show reports, I let them fucking know. Right? When I'm doing them here in Florida or wherever, I'm going to let them know. It's important. Jeter regains his senses and leaves the landmark from the front door. Not sure if this symbolizes that this was the blow-off, but it doesn't seem like it would be. This was absolutely well done top to bottom. It's everything... Here we go. It's everything Southern Honor Wrestling said it was, but it wasn't. A great show top to bottom and fans that were into everything. Fans were actually standing the whole show. This atmosphere was far better than anything Southern Honor did last week, except for Joe and Owen. That place was the loudest I've heard since Hardcore Hell. The show clocked in at 2 hours and 6 minutes, and with only 5 matches. But I promise not one person felt like they didn't get their money's worth. Quality over quantity every time. It's clear that Anarchy is making changes, and they seem to be for the better. The most notable absence was that of Matt Hankins. He was there, right? I haven't been to an Anarchy show in years where Hankins wasn't there to get heat. That position is well occupied by the program now, who are being booked to as close to perfect as you can get, in my opinion. Anarchy is running again November 27th. I'm assuming they're going to start running every 2 weeks. It's a bold move, but I believe that will help them. It's kind of weird that in the top 3, now this is not me. Remember that. You know? It's kind of weird that in the top 3, Southern Honor, Southern Fried, and Anarchy have all hit the reset button recently. However, Southern Fried is still using Todd to get heat. But this worked great. Nothing felt forced, nothing dragged, the crowd was on fire, everything just clicked. Anarchy is definitely alive and seemed to be trending upwards. It's awesome. Person continues later. Spoke to Proc, and he said the feeling in the locker room was that this was one of their best shows top to bottom, and said the boys had so much fun working that show. I thought it was interesting that the Southern Honor wrestlers and people who have worked for Southern Honor, with the exception of Joe Black, who took umbrage to stuff that I was saying on Patreon, which, by the way, I was just reporting what I had heard. It wasn't me. But um, everybody else said, yeah, it's kind of chaos. Yeah, it's kind of a clusterfuck. Yeah, it's inmates running the asylum. But this guy speaks to Proc, and he said the feeling is, that the boys had so much fun working that show. Is the future of Georgia wrestling being best displayed at Anarchy, with guys like Proc, Jay, Hanson, Will, Towers, Hunter James, and Duncan Mitchell all being positioned so well? One last thing on Anarchy. I've heard 3 different people who work that show that they're so excited over what Anarchy has planned for the next shows. The locker room morale seems really high right now. And that's the surest indication of all, right? How's your locker room morale? Not, what's the thing that you're putting forward, but are the guys really excited to do your show? I've given indications in the past about signs that a show is going well. Like, do other wrestlers who are not booked show up to the show just to be around it? Do I hear the buzz of like, dude, it was so good? Or people trying to tell me stories about things going on. When you've got it, you've got it. And it was wonderful to hear. I said, Anarchy needed to get at least 100. And they went well over that, which is a great indication. If they run steady and they run on the regular, they're going to be fine. The bold move to not have Hankins be the centerpiece of the heel heat is incredibly bold. But again, Anarchy is a place that teaches. And I'm glad that they're getting back to that. But it's also the place where really cool shit is supposed to happen. That's the legacy of that building. And future stars do their thing. And it appears that that is going to be the mandate from here on in. Having the commissioner just flat out say, I hate this thing, and we're not going to do it anymore, and we're going to go towards having a real tag team division, I think is wonderful. Again, people brag about a lot of stuff in a lot of different feds, but I guess I'm going to end this thing with a message that I've given before, but it seems more important than ever. Show, don't tell. This has been Full Disclosure.